Hi everyone, I hope you're all having a great week. This week I'm working on a little painting I'm calling Zen Buddha. When I'm working with watercolors, I usually like to tape my paper down on a piece of plexiglass to prevent my paper from buckling as I'm working with it. Once that was done, I started to sketch my concept. A couple of years ago, my mother bought me a Buddha statue for my flower garden. This statue served as inspiration for the image I'm drawing of Buddha. When I'm making a sketch for a watercolor painting, I like to use very light pencil marks. Once I'm done with my sketch, I usually also go over the entire sketch with a kneadable eraser to remove the majority of the charcoal. I do this because I want to keep a faint outline. Once watercolor is added to my drawing, the lines will become permanent. Making the outline faint ensures I won't have any harsh lines showing through my paint. Looking at my sketch, I feel like the moon I had initially drawn was too small. I couldn't find a template big enough for the moon I wanted, so I decided to freehand it. It's not a perfect circle, but I'm happy with it. Now I'm ready to start adding color. I have a general idea of what I want to create, but nothing is very specific yet, so I'm going about it intuitively and figuring things out as I go along. I'm going to be building up my values as I progress, and so I start with my lightest values first. My Buddha is sitting under the light of the moon, meditating. Since I want my Buddha's hair to dry before I continue working on him, I start to work on painting my night sky. The sky will be my darkest value in the painting. When painting over a big area with the same color, it's important to keep the paper wet. This will prevent that area of color from looking patchy. There's a little bit of patchiness happening right now, but I'm not too concerned about it because I'm going to go over the area again to darken the color. At this point, I've decided that I'm going to keep my Buddha monochromatic. This means I'm going to work with one color, and the different values are going to be what adds to the details of my painting. To create my different values, I use more water in my paint to create lighter shades and less water in my paint to create darker values. When working with watercolors, it's important to let every layer dry before continuing. Sometimes I get a little bit excited and I want to move forward before my painting is ready for me to move on to the next step. With watercolors, this can create bleeding. In this section, I touched an area of the painting that wasn't quite dry enough, and it started bleeding. Thankfully, watercolors are relatively forgiving, so I can go over the area with a relatively dry brush and soak up some of that paint that was bleeding. Now I'm going to start adding more details to my Buddha. I use slightly darker values to add areas of shade in the face. After adding Buddha's chin line, I was able to blend it out using a wet brush. Working on a monochromatic painting is an interesting way to study values. When there's an area of my painting that I find a little bit too dark, I usually just use a brush with just plain water on it and I go over the area rubbing gently. This helps by lifting some of the paint and it also helps by blending the paint. Once my Buddha and my night sky were dry, I added some gold paint to my moon to make it glow. Now I'm using a gold pen to go around the contour of my moon. Then I use a black pen to add some more details to my Buddha. Using a white pen, I start to add stars to my night sky. Then I use my gold pen again to add some more details around my moon. In the end, I decided my Buddha's rosettes needed some highlights, so I used the white pen to create some curls in his hair. Now that this is done, I'm satisfied that my painting is complete. It was a fun little painting to create, and I hope it can inspire you to pick up your hand brushes and get painting. Thank you again for joining me on this journey. Have a great week and happy creating!